This video is being sponsored by EA Sports. What's going on, everyone? This is AntCap24 from Huddle.gg, and in this video we're going to teach you how to stop the run in Madden 21. Now, if this is the first time checking out our channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications to make sure you stay up to date with the best Madden tips all year long. So before we get into some helpful tips that will get you prepared to stop the run, we want to discuss some of the improvements that were made in the game in regards to run defense. The run fits and defensive gap system was an area in which the developers set their sights on improving. They started with the forced defender to help us with outside run containment, as he is the player that is responsible for setting the edge versus the run. The forced defender that is aligned on the line of scrimmage at the snap will now use wider angles at the start of each play to show more anticipation and better pursuit prediction to set the edge versus outside running plays. Forced defenders will also show more anticipation in their pursuit angles to help defend the quick hitting outside runs by a wide receiver, such as a jet sweep or touch pass. There are also improvements to the formation alignments in regards to forced defenders. They'll now line up a little bit wider on the line of scrimmage in many base defensive formations such as 3-4. This will help prevent the player from getting reached quite as easily by the nearest lineman. The next improvement is the hammer and fill players. These are the defenders in the run fits that are responsible for the open gaps inside of the forced player. On outside run plays, their initial pursuit angles will be wider, which will help them get over the top towards the outside of the formation quicker. This will also prevent them from getting caught up in traffic, as they'll be a little bit further from the line of scrimmage, making it more difficult for them to be reached. Lastly, there were improvements to the defensive linemen in the trenches and how they can help in stopping the run. There were new blocking interactions put in to have those defenders disrupt running lanes by pushing a blocker further into the backfield while engaged against all run types. These defenders will have better anticipation of the ball carrier's movement by taking smarter angles while and after shedding blocks. In addition to the upgrades to the run fit system, there were some core improvements made to existing tackling systems to make tackling more accessible and a stronger part of countering the run game. Defenders will now be much more aware when they are engaged in blocks near a ball carrier, and they will trigger tackle attempts from these engaged blocks inside the trenches and in the open field versus impact blocks. Hit sticks and dive tackles have been tuned to make them more accessible and functional as well. Lastly, they made improvements to location-based tackling. These are tackling interactions where you'll see the running back reach the ball out for the pylon at the last second or for the first down sticks on a huge fourth down. In these situations, the defenders are more aware of the field location and react accordingly to prevent the last yard from being reached. While there's not a direct button input on the sticks for these tackles, outcomes will be driven by comparing the defender's tackle and awareness ratings compared to the ball carrier's vision and awareness ratings. Each one of these improvements to the game will undoubtedly help each one of us get better at stopping the run this year. With that being said, there are still areas in which we are responsible as gamers to ensure that we put ourselves in the best position possible to be successful. We're going to highlight some of these principles that you need to know and provide some additional tips on how to stop the run consistently. The first tip is to look at your opponent's formation and, more importantly this year, the personnel grouping before you call your defensive play. This will give you the opportunity to match up your defensive formation accordingly. If your opponent is coming out in a formation that has two tight ends, you're going to want to match that up with a base 3-4 or 4-3 formation in order to put your team in the best position to succeed. The second tip is to make shifts or adjustments pre-snap to align your players in a way to have success in their role. You're going to want to look at the offensive alignment to see if one side of the formation has a numbers advantage and adjust accordingly with a shift to put you in a better position to defend the play. You adjust the defensive line by pressing the left on the D-pad and then move your left stick in the direction you want them to move. You do the same thing with the linebackers, but start by pressing right on the D-pad before directing them with the left stick. So this next tip is all about the run fits. Each player has a particular run fit assignment depending on which direction the run goes. The game gives you an ability to show these assignments pre-snap in order to give yourself a guide on what your particular assignment is on that play. To show these assignments, you need to pull the left trigger and press the X to see the responsibility if the play goes to the left, and press B if you want to see what the responsibility is if the play goes to the right. It is important to understand that run fit assignments change from formation to formation and play call to play call. For example, I'm going to toggle through coverages in the 3-4 odd formation, and I'm going to show you how the run fits change. When you're in cover 4 like I am now, you're going to see how both safeties are in the run fits. This often allows you to be aggressive with your user at the linebacker position because you know you'll have help behind you as the safeties come down and play cleanup. When you're in cover 2, notice how the cornerbacks become the forced defenders. This will allow for outside runs to get around the edge a little bit easier as your defensive end or your outside linebackers are not being told to get up the field and force the run back inside. your cornerbacks need to shed their block and now take on that role. As you notice that both safeties will not help on the run right away, as that is not as part of their assignment. Now let's go ahead and look at cover 3, and you'll notice that all 3 players that would have a deep third assignment are not in the run fits while the other 8 are. But with cover 3 it can vary, as I just called cover 3 buzz coverage, where the free safety is now in a hook zone. By doing so, that put him in a position where he now will help stop the run, whereas before he had the responsibility of covering the deep middle of the field. Now that you understand how run fits work, it's time to talk about how to execute your responsibility with the player that you're usering. On this play, the user's run fits responsibility is the gap just to the right of the center if the ball was run to the right side of the field. I want you to watch the user linebacker and how we keep our run fit discipline while staying on the running back's back shoulder in case he tries to cut back. This allows us not to only fill our responsibility gaps, but also to be able to help rally to the ball carrier the longer the play strings out. It is also very important to know who the force defender is pre-snap to be able to keep an eye on him as the play develops. On this play, Jamal Adams' responsibility is to set the edge and turn the run back inside. When we see that he maintains outside leverage, it allows us to be a little bit more aggressive and go after the ball carrier. A big part of success is to feel comfortable with the player you choose to user while fulfilling their assignment. If you are struggling to stop somebody in the middle of a game, try changing which player you control in order to get back on track. For a more conservative approach, consider calling cover 4 and user the safety that is on the side which has a less threat to run to. This will allow you to have less responsibility and more ability to roam and be aggressive going after the ball carrier. The last tip we're going to talk about to put you in a good situation to stop the run is to make sure you have the right personnel in on run play situations. You can do everything right and still not succeed if you got the wrong players on the field that put you at a disadvantage. Defensive ends that are pass rush specialists that weigh around 250 pounds often will get dominated by tackles with more weight, strength, and high blocking ratings. Consider subbing in a more solid run-stopping defensive end in when you expect to run in order to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. All these tips that we've shared today were intended to have you look at the game a little bit differently and understand what nuances you can implement yourself to create more success on the field. We appreciate you all watching our video, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you found this video to be helpful. We encourage you also to check out our website at huddle.gg if you want to take your game to the next level. We produce the best game plans in Madden that are designed by myself and other pro Madden players that study the game and deliver that knowledge straight to you.